the Masters of the Universe. I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and said, "By the power of Grayskull."
It's episode 57 of the Hodgepodge podcast. I'm your host, Doug.
And I'm Dirty A. As the name suggests, we're going to talk about a hodgepodge of topics from movies, music, TV, and other pop culture events.
And this episode, we welcome special guest Jason Christ to talk about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. You can reach us at the hodgepodgepodcast@gmail.com or over on our website, thehodgepodgepodcast.com, or head over to iTunes and YouTube and subscribe. And as I mentioned, we have a special guest here. You'll remember him from our episode earlier this year.
Well, he's a guest.
Not special.
Oh, he's not special guest. Right. He's you'll remember him from our episode that we did about with the Super Bowl.
Yes,
Super Bowl episode.
That's right.
And he is a comedian and an impressionist. And you can, if you're in the Raleigh, North Carolina area, you can find him down at Comedyworx. It's Jason Christ.
Hello, good day to you, fellow podgers. Is that what they're called?
Yes.
Your audience.
They are now.
Podgers. They are now.
You old podger, you.
And with this episode, we wanted to do something a little bit different because, let's be honest, this is more of a movie podcast, no matter what we say at the beginning. We do talk about TV, too, a lot. We've been bashing Gotham pretty much every episode we get, and we have music and stuff like that. But mainly it's a movie podcast, and there's just not a lot going on at the theater right now. And so we wanted to do something
Aside
a little bit
from
different.
the shootings.
That's right, yeah.
Shootings.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we want to do something a little bit different, and this episode is going to be all about He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. But before we get to that, as is per our usual these days, let's talk about a little bit about some nerd movie news, we'll say.
Yeah.
They just announced the cast for the Suicide Squad. Jared Leto is going to be the new Joker, and Margot Robbie will be Harley Quinn, as was predicted. Tom Hardy's in it, as some guy that nobody's ever heard of, even like hardcore DC Comics fans.
they just made him up.
And Will Smith is actually going to be in it. He is going to be Deadshot, which is interesting. That's
Getting jiggy with it.
He's going to get jiggy with it. He's going to get triggy with it. Trigger.
I feel a new catchphrase coming.
It's a pretty stellar cast.
Who's Jaden going to be?
Oh, God. Hopefully not Robin. Oh, God.
Oh, he'll be the one.
Oh.
He'll be the one getting triggy with it, doing math.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he doesn't.
Trigger
No,
on the
they don't. No, they don't believe in regular education. They're students of the world or some
Lord.
crazy.
Universe.
Yeah.
Doing that uncommon core stuff.
When they did that whole thing, when they did that whole interview, if that wasn't like code for
That had-
Scientology, I don't know what it was. I was like, oh my God.
That I don't know how that's not a joke. But anyway, yeah, I think Leto will be a great Joker.
Yeah, I think he'll do a good job.
I know, a lot of people, especially right after Heath Ledger died, were on the bandwagon of, no more joke, no one can top. I don't think anyone can top Heath Ledger necessarily, but let's face it.
You can't retire the character.
Right, exactly. I mean, Batman and these characters, things that will go on and on, right?
I mean,
it's kind of like Christian Bale as Batman. A lot of people consider him the penultimate Batman in Nolan's series, but there were Batmans before him. There'll be Batmans after him, starting with Affleck. So, but I actually think Leto's spot on.
Yeah, I think he'll be good.
Casting for that.
I don't know what his role will be in the movie because Joker in Suicide Squad is kind of stupid. If you don't know what Suicide Squad is, if you watch Arrow, you know what Suicide Squad is because they've introduced it into it. But it's basically like the Dirty Dozen of DC Comics, and like the government gets these supervillains and kind of gives them a modicum of freedom to do these missions for the government.
Right, they're released on like a per mission basis,
right,
kind of thing.
And I can't see them doing that for the Joker. So I would think that the Joker might be the antagonist, or he might show up in some capacity.
Right.
But I don't know how major a character he's going to be in it. So that's the big.
It'll just be a fresh take, same as
exactly.
Heath Ledger was.
Yeah.
Oh
versus Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Completely different.
And he might actually hedge closer to comic book Joker since they're doing all this stuff,
Honestly, I think that might be where they're going with this. I mean, this isn't supposed to be Nolan again, so this will be. I think this will lean more towards the comic book take on the whole thing.
I mean, because let's be honest, Jack Nicholson's Joker was great, but he was really just Jack Nicholson in clown makeup.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's like, I mean, so and
New
then,
improved Joker products.
And then Heath Ledger was amazing, but they've yet to do like comic book Joker really. And then other news on the Marvel side of things is that Benedict Cumberbatch was finally confirmed he is going to be Doctor Strange.
Sweet.
And so that's official. And then also Ryan Reynolds, they say, is nearing his deal to be Deadpool in the Deadpool, which is great news. That's great news.
Yeah.
So that should be good.
I mean, I'm not saying that project couldn't have continued without him, but he's proven that he can do Deadpool. He can deadpan Deadpool.
That's
right.
So anyway, that's pretty much all the nerd movie news that's fit to print on the internet.
So now let's talk about some more nerd stuff that's not in the news.
Just nerd olds.
Let's talk about He-Man. Victor He-Man.
Okay, right off the top, the guy who voiced He-Man in the cartoon also did Morris the Cat.
Oh wow, yeah.
I did not know that.
I remember Morris the Cat.
Wikipedia. This Wikipedia thing might catch on.
What did Morris sell? I mean, it was cat
Nine
food.
Lives.
Nine Lives. That's what it was. 9 Lives cat food.
That's
right.
101 lives.
That's right.
It's on the power of fancy fees.
He-Man in the Masters of the Universe was, and we're not just going to talk about the cartoon here, but it was a set of toys created by Mattel back in 1982, I think, around there.
Yeah. So that's when the first one came out.
Right.
Yeah.
And basically, as you know, Star Wars was so popular with toys and stuff like that, action figures became really popular, and so Mattel's like, well, we want to get in on that shit. And so they created He-Man. The designer's name was Roger Sweet. And basically he created 3 different versions of He-Man. He came up with the name He-Man, and he was like, that could be anybody.
What is the generic name?
I know, right?
He-Man.
How do I get across that this guy is male? Male.
So he made, there was a barbarian, a soldier, and the spaceman, and then they ended up going with the barbarian. They were later sued by the people who owned Conan, but Mattel won, and they continued moving forward with He-Man. The cartoon was essentially just a toy commercial, as most 80s cartoons were.
Yeah, that was the idea. This was all just one big marketing play.
Right. And they used Filmation as the company to do the cartoon. Bing! Yeah. And Filmation, as anybody who knows cartoons knows, were the cheapest motherfuckers around.
Oh, yes.
And I mean, if you watch any episode of He-Man, there was constantly like repeated frames and stuff like that.
They actually had cartoon B footage.
Yeah.
they would reuse.
They would, like, if he's running, they would use the same footage of him running. And
or
the same,
punching, the same punch from the intro.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Or taking off on Battle Cat. She's looking out at us going, go, Cat!
Yeah.
The story of He-Man is very simple, I guess. You heard it in the opening song from the TV show. Prince Adam of Eternia. The world is called Eternia, and it's this weird...
It's a space world.
It's a space world. It's almost like, I would say, a little Flash Gordon-y, I guess. Maybe.
A lot of deserts, a lot of odd landscapes.
Yeah, a lot of plain landscapes, but with very elegant castles in the middle of nowhere.
Right, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. There's like magic and technology all merged
There's like no
together.
downtown Eternia.
Right.
It's just castles and nothing else.
That'd be a good Disney park. Downtown Eternia.
Downtown Eternia.
That'd be awesome.
Jump on it, Disney.
Jump on it, Disney.
Figure out how to get Orko to float.
Orko. God. Anyway, so... but
for the kids.
Prince Adam, fabulous magical powers were revealed to him when he was given the Sword of Power by the sorceress from Castle Grayskull. And,
So I think as a child, she bestowed upon him these powers, right?
Sure.
That's entirely possible.
That was, if I believe correctly, that was like her gift, birth gift.
Oh, okay.
She did get into that in the when She-Ra made her first appearance in the He-Man.
That was like her birth gift
she got into that whole backstory.
Adam.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Powers, yeah.
Until Maleficent showed up and then tried to put the baby to sleep.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh wait, that's a.
Luckily, that failed.
Did some
That's a
raping.
different movie.
He grew up into a charismatic, yellow-haired man.
Yeah. So essentially, what the theme song or voiceover and then subsequent idea of the cartoon portrays is, okay, now we've given him a very masculine name, okay, and a very masculine frame, but now we feel like we may have gone too far. So we're going to maybe create a little femininity or, homoerotic sense into this whole thing.
Yeah. Cue the pink vest and
Right.
tight purple tights.
Pink vest,
furry
purple
boots.
tights, furry boots, holding swords high into the air.
Yeah, the thing about He-Man is that, like, you've got Prince Adam, and he wears his little pink vest, as Jason mentioned, and his purple tights. But when he changes into He-Man, he doesn't look all that different from
just the
Prince
wardrobe
Adam.
change,
It's like
isn't
he gets a little
Wardrobe change.
tanner, and then like he puts on a little bronzer, and then like he puts some in his hair, makes his hair a little darker, and then all of a sudden he takes off all his clothes, and he's
I really wish one time they would have shown that transformation, like real time, doing all of that. Like he changes, he goes to the tanning booth, then he comes back and fights.
Yeah.
But it's like it's not like Shazam where like the boy turns into a man. It's like Adam and He-Man have the same build and everything.
Yeah.
It's
Although, to be fair, we should point out that every male character literally has the same build.
Yeah.
in the toys, yes.
In the
In the
toys,
toys,
yes.
yes. It's all the same. It's all the same mold for all the male
Well,
characters.
there's one set of eyebrows for all of Eternia. They all have it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, He-Man was defending Eternia from the evil forces of Skeletor.
And of course, He-Man is, the alter ego of Prince Adam that no one knows about, even though he is not disguised in any way, shape, or form.
This is less disguised than Clark Kent.
He's actually less disguised just in general because he's got less clothes on.
Yeah.
But he's got nothing on his face to say, hey, it's not me. He doesn't change his voice.
I know that exact height, weight, and look. No, but he's darker.
But
It's
yet,
not
but
He-Man.
yet somehow only 3
not
people
Adam.
in the universe know his secret.
Right. Orko, the court magician.
Yeah.
Sure.
Man-at-Arms.
Man-at-Arms, who is basically...
He's the king's bodyguard, basically.
Pretty much. And
He
there's
is,
a whole,
but he's-
there's a whole stable of those guys. but
he's also
he's the
like...
only one with a porn stash.
He's also like, what's his face from Dune. He's like
Yeah.
like Gurney Halleck
Yeah.
from Dune.
And actually, I think all of the other men in Eternia who are just poor, useless guys that can't fight anything, they all look like Duncan. They've got those mustaches and that kind of hair, I
They
think.
do have
Yeah.
Duncan stash.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Duncan style.
Yeah.
Of course, the figure of Man-at-Arms did not have a mustache.
Really?
That's correct. Yeah.
He
Just had the little helmet thing and
had like the Tron helmet,
Yeah.
and then he had the,
Whenever they do a flashback with him, he doesn't have the mustache. It's something he matured into.
well, mustache. You shave that off. He just likes to change his look every now and then. And then the third one was the sorcerers.
and the sorcerers.
Yeah,
yes,
Those are
Scorched
the ones
Humans.
that knew in Orko. So those are the ones that knew of his super being self, which I still don't really grasp how no one else knew that. But hey,
I mean, at least Tila should have figured it out.
Yeah.
She's around both of them all the time,
Yeah.
and it's just like, wait, how is he? I mean, it's like you said, it's not even like Superman where he's got the glasses, and like and he would play Clark Kent as like a bumbling buffoon. Adam doesn't even really do that much.
He's
He's
just
just like,
missing a little testosterone.
Big Daddy Randor.
Royal boob of Eternia.
and of course that's Skeletor, and
The best Skeletor around.
yes,
Yeah, that's the best impersonation you're going to hear of Skeletor. As
Yes.
Doug points out, even better than Skeletor himself. Like it sounds more like
Yes.
Skeletor than Skeletor.
yes, I went to YouTube to listen to all of, like it's Skeletor's sick burns or whatever.
Yeah.
All like he's
Oh, that was-
insulting.
that was good.
He's insulting all his henchmen and stuff like that. And Jason Skeletor sounds more like Skeletor to me than the actual clips from the fucking cartoon.
I wish there could have been an R-rated episode because it would have been a little more creativity in the burns.
If
Most people are boobs to him.
If you can find it, you can find a lot of these voiceover actors. You can find blooper reels basically where they're like swearing and it's all
Oh, that would
like
be
section
great.
and like they have the guy who like plays Lion-O and stuff like that. They're like, "What the fuck?" He's like, what the fuck is this crap? It's so funny. You can probably find it on YouTube or something like that.
But that's actually how He-Man right now is currently in our pop culture. There's a lot of memes and these videos with Skeletor.
He's selling Hondas right now.
Yeah.
Skeletor's selling Hondas along with these with all these other toys like Strawberry Shortcake and Stretch Armstrong and all these guys there.
Yeah. There is a lot of 80s nostalgia in current mainstream commercials, memes, all that kind of stuff now.
Right. In the cartoon, Skeletor had all his henchmen. I would say the two main ones were Evil Lyn and Beastman. And then they had all the other ones who would show up periodically. None of them have any real backstory. I think they're just hired muscle, basically, for Skeletor.
Yeah. Well, there's no real backstory to any of them.
There really isn't. We'll talk about that in a minute. But there really isn't. I would say my favorite character was Trapjaw. I liked him.
Boom.
I liked the figure. I liked the look. The color scheme was really cool, and then he had the arms that changed into laser guns.
With your look.
And he had the hinged metal.
He was my favorite. He and Beastman, I just love the two buffoons.
Oh, you're terrible at everything.
Yeah, but Trapjaw, he was my favorite figure too. I liked him. Did either of you have a favorite figure? He-Man figure?
I remember seeing Triclops fail with 3 different eyes. He just fail at missions,
No matter what.
Whatever the eye was.
Was it one shot like fire, one
It
shot
must have been
ice?
a laser or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're all like an eye or if one was a triangle or.
One was a triangle. I mean, they were eyes, but one was like a triangle. One was like
eye.
Yeah, one was normal, and the other one was weird.
He was ahead of his time. That whole concept of a third eye, I hadn't really heard about.
Then they just took that and then morphed it a little bit, and turned it into Manny Faces, who had the 3 faces,
which did nothing to help him. Like, he's mad, he's angry. Oh, look, he's just a regular guy.
It was weird, because he was like a guy. Like it was, I vaguely remember
the green monster face.
I vaguely remember I don't know if it was the cartoon or if it was the little comic that came with the figures, because every figure came with a mini comic that kind of told the story of the heroes teaming up with He-Man or the villains coming to fight He-Man. And I can't remember if it was the comic or it was the cartoon, but Manny Faces worked for Skeletor at first or something like that, or Skeletor created him or something like that. He was almost like Smurfette from the Smurfs.
You're asking us.
Oh yeah, she was.
And he had a human face, and then he had the monster face. But then there was a robot face.
And then there was a robot face.
Right.
Yeah.
It was weird.
I don't know if we should preface all these with Beastor was He-Man's body, but red. Triclops was He-Man's body, but a guy who had 3 eyes.
Right.
I guess we don't have to say that.
And then there was Faker, who was a blue He-Man.
Right.
He was a robot He-Man.
And he was created by Skeletor.
And then there was Fistor.
Fisto, yeah.
And Jitsu.
Fisto, yeah.
And Jitsu.
Yes. The most racist He-Man.
They always had the yin and the yang. The good guy that had a specific bad guy to pit against him. Right.
Yeah.
So you had Fisto, and then you had Jitsu, which was the evil version of Fisto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as an adult, you learn a lot more things you could do with Fisto if you were Fisto.
Wow.
And they're very dirty.
Yeah.
Although, is there an alternate for Ram Man? Again, that's a little more innuendo. Than
once again, I don't think we can overstate the homoeroticism of everything that has to do with He-Man.
Ram Man. That's either a name or a sentence. I don't know.
When I was a child playing with these toys, a lot of them, I just gave their own names. I'm a kid. I
Steve and Bill and...
No.
Oh.
I know Ram Man as Pop-Up Man. Because that's what he did.
Yeah.
That's what he did. So
if there wasn't a wall there, he wasn't Ram Man.
I always called him Pop-Up Man.
Pop-Up Man.
Yeah, I don't know. But
also dirty.
Yeah, I was always partial to Trapjaw and then Beastman. I just like their banter. They were funny, and I enjoyed just playing with those characters and basically having them killed many times over in my room.
Yeah, throw them at the wall.
So, but yeah, they He-Man started out with the action figures. They actually apparently these action figures, there were different waves of their releases.
Oh yeah.
They created characters as the story went along.
Yeah, they had well. Actually, the story followed whatever figures they put out was more.
Well,
like
that's probably exactly right. Right.
Oh, we got Webster. Now Webster's in. I guess we got to put him in the cartoon. He was the guy with the thing. He was supposed to be a spider type guy, and he had the thing on his back which like shot out like a cord. He could ride down the cord and stuff like that.
It was Webster.
Webster,
yeah, that's right. He was blue.
Yeah.
I know that I read
Stinkor
Stinkor and Mossman.
Between
Mossman.
I've read within the last year from a collector's perspective, Stinkor and Mossman are two of the most sought after
Really?
characters that are really hard to find. Like
I know my buddy had Stinkor, and it actually smelled skunky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mossman had the fuzzy
moss stuff,
moss all over him, and I have Mossman somewhere, but he's like almost all stripped of the moss.
And guess what's underneath? Green He-Man.
He's Green He-Man.
You're kidding me!
He's Hulk.
That's right.
Conan the Barbarian,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
The cartoon never really. I guess they tried to build to something when they did the animated movie, which was like that was the team up between him and She-Ra, right?
Yeah, and I think that was maybe like 1 or 2 seasons into He-Man that they came out with the movie and explained.
So She-Ra.
Was his long lost twin
viewers
sister?
aren't aware or listeners aren't aware. Yeah, it was his twin sister who essentially
Princess Aurora.
Princess Aurora. That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Essentially was a mirrored reflection of He-Man on a different planet.
Except she was not. Except she was
Adora.
Adora. That's right.
Oh,
Adora.
Yeah.
Except she was not a lesbian.
right.
Yeah.
And
Possibly still a stripper. Though.
This was Mattel's way to try to get the female audience, right? To try to capture that.
Well, yeah,
I don't think it worked very well. But
what's funny is that Mattel felt the need to have to do that because they had Barbie. Mattel had Barbie, which is like the female of all female toys. So it's.
Into the action.
No, I know what you
Action
mean. I know what you
girl,
mean.
yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But
They go into her whole backstory into that movie. That movie is one of my guilty pleasures, actually. I love it. But the backstory actually makes a lot of sense. There was an invasion and Hordak and we didn't even talk about Hordak yet.
We haven't got them because that's more She-Ra
that's
stuff.
right.
yeah, he's
She-Ra
more
stuff.
She-Ra's enemy.
She-Ra's enemy, and he was working with Skeletor at the time, and He-Man and She-Ra, or Adam and Adora, were born twins, and they were separated. I guess the Horde ran off with Adora, and that's how she came to work for Hordak until she found her fabulous powers
That's right.
That were revealed to her.
that were revealed to her.
That they were. Oh, bet
She had
they
to
were.
throw off the enchantments of the Horde
Right.
in order to
Right.
discover her true destiny.
to find out she was a horde.
Horde.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so Hordak was kind of similar to Skeletor.
Except red.
Yeah, he had a big white.
He was blue.
Like he had
The
like a
white
big
helmet.
white helmet or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he was kind of like a mix of like Skeletor and Darth Vader a little bit, I would say.
Yeah,
And then
he had a deviated septum, I think.
yeah, and he had very similar henchmen. He had a what was the Beast Man's name for him? It was like Grizzor.
Oh, Grizzor, yeah.
Grizzor.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He was the action figure was actually had hair.
Harry. He was
super
actually hairy,
Yeah.
right?
Grizzor.
And then he had
That's right.
the one with the antenna. With,
Yeah.
like the eyes, the
Yeah,
antenna,
the eyes at the
eyes.
end.
And you could actually swap out his tail. That guy's tail. It was like in
Was
links.
that the character that had a really...
He was like a
his
fish.
voice
too.
was...
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds right.
Very suction cuppy kind of voice.
But maybe not because they also had Leech, who was the guy,
That maybe,
the guy who had
I
the
know there
suction
was
cup
one.
for the face, and then you could stick him on like your
Mhm.
refrigerator and shit like that. So Hordak had some weird dudes, but like I said, he had Grizzor, who was basically like Beast Man, and
Same bumbling idiots.
Yeah,
The evil training in these worlds is
Yeah,
just
again, like I said, it's a
lacking.
mirrored environment basically
Right.
of He-Man.
a lot more color in her world. What was her world?
I forget. I totally forget.
Eternia and I don't know.
But
I
when she was,
honestly I didn't watch She-Ra.
She had
Well,
the crystal Palace, I believe.
That sounds right. Yeah.
When she would turn, she would start in front of Grayskull and then switch over to Crystal Palace for her female powers.
Ding 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 ding. One of my favorite He-Man characters, as far as playing with was concerned, was in some of the later iterations. They had the battle armor.
Battle armor Skeletor.
Battle armor
He-Man. It was
He-Man.
removable.
Yeah, and it was this little plate in the middle of their chest, and you tap it, and it have one crack, and you tap it again, and you get two cracks.
Yeah.
It was on an axle or something.
Yeah.
A twist.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then later, I don't remember what it was called, like Claw Action Skeletor. He had like Freddy Krueger claws.
Wow.
Like they gave Skeletor these Freddy Krueger claws.
Wasn't there a He-Man, like an armor suit that clipped on? But it was just the vest, like a...
Well, they all had that.
Vest.
They all had that, too. They all had... that's how all their armor was. All the armor was like hard plastic, and it clipped on like at the top.
Clamshell clip, removable thing.
Right. But
I don't
I'm sure
remember
He-Man
having that in the cartoon, though.
He-Man also had one where it was like a cap gun in his back.
Yeah.
And you would turn it, and then it would like a thunder punch.
You actually put caps in the back, and it twists in, and every time you lift his arm, it was pop, pop,
you never get that through.
No, not today.
Not these days.
Not today. But yeah, at one point, I pretty much had all the He-Man figures. I mean, I had them all, including the castles.
I had a lot of them. I had Snake Mountain. I never had
Snake Mountain and Grayskull. I think he was a little bit past that by the time they were selling the Crystal Palace. So you never had that.
No, didn't.
I
as a kid, I was always, and it's because Snake Mountain came out a lot later, so it was had a lot more quote unquote innovations to it. Like but I was always perturbed that when I was playing that Snake Mountain was better than Castle Grayskull, like every way. It had the
Grayskull.
It had the tower that had the snake head, and you could take it off and talk into it,
really?
And it would modulate your voice.
Yeah.
Wasn't it the castle was the body of a snake and sticking out the top?
Yeah. Purple castle.
And like a stairway. Okay, veiny penis. I'm gonna say it.
Right.
Big purple snake shape with a staircase. Yeah, that's a thing to do.
That you put right up to your mouth.
Sure.
And talking to.
For kids.
Right. For kids.
And we've got
like when I was a kid, I had a lot of the He-Man figures, but I was always more into G.I. Joe and stuff like that. But He-Man was up there for me. I had.
You were so straight as a kid.
G.I. Joe really did it for me.
Hey, let's not even talk about Shipwreck, okay?
No, you mean Shore Leave.
Shore Leave
from Venture Brothers. Sphinx.
Shore Leave.
Sphinx.
Shore Leave sounds like a Barbie doll.
We won't.
Friend of the Barbies.
That's a G.I. Joe. That's a G.I. Joe podcast. We'll have to do that later.
But I'm seeing here that He-Man was portrayed by someone named Gary Chalk. Any relation? in the New Adventures of He-Man?
I feel like I should say yes.
Well, I feel like you should get royalties.
I don't know what you mean. My name is Dirty A.
That's right.
Yeah, well, the chalk, like chalkboard chalk, I just thought we would talk about that. I just thought we would talk about chalk.
I know not what you speak of, kind sir.
So, of course, Mattel wanted to keep it going, keep this franchise going. So they said, hey, let's make a live action movie. And we'll go with the company that is known for solid pictures. Let's go with Carlico and have them make our Masters of the Universe movie.
Nope.
And
I don't know who that is. I'm guessing they don't exist now?
No, they don't.
Okay.
Let me pull it up here.
Carlico,
hold on a second.
from the makers of Coleco.
Oh my gosh. I wish we could show a picture of this. I just found what's called Dragon Blaster Skeletor.
Oh my goodness.
I had this guy. He would squirt water out of his little back.
Oh, he's got chains and everything.
Oh man, he was bad.
He's got whips and this is not getting any.
Yeah, whips and chains
and squirting fluids.
He was badass.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I was wrong. It was Canon Films. Canon Films. They are also defunct though. So
it really doesn't matter.
The Canon Group.
I've got here King Randor's father, King Miro.
Weird.
He-Man's Prince Adam's grandfather. All right.
The film came out in 1987, summer of 87, and it starred Dolph Lundgren as He-Man. There was no Prince Adam in the film. He was just He-Man.
Yeah.
And Frank Langella, that's right, Frank Langella played Skeletor.
Yeah.
And also Courtney Cox was in this movie as well.
Really?
She was just a human.
I did not know any. I didn't see this.
Because, as we know, they set this on Earth for fuck's sake.
I think there's like a few scenes in Eternia, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But the majority of it takes place on Earth.
Yeah, I mean, in some room in Eternia. I mean, you don't actually see the landscape of Eternia that I remember. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, that was the flawed premise of this movie to begin with. Is what they had some key that sent them through a portal, wasn't that right, to Earth?
Something like that.
My question about this movie, and this is the question I was thinking of earlier. This movie came out after the animated series had started. Is that correct?
Yeah. This was 80, but this was actually.
Why wasn't the movie called He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, or just He-Man, instead of just Masters of the Universe? Because that's so generic. If you just heard that, and you were a kid and you only knew He-Man as He-Man, you wouldn't have any idea what that is.
I honestly think it was trying to have its cake and eat it too, and market to adults. Because that was a weird thing in the movie. It was real dark as well, right? It wasn't as playful as you might think for a He-Man movie, right? So I think that was a marketing decision to try to appeal to a wider age range. Modulok.
I remember Modulok. I had Modulok.
Yeah.
Modulok was one of Hordak's guys, I think, and he get all his different body parts. You could take them off and then rearrange.
That's the
them
one
somehow.
I was confusing two of them.
Okay.
But yeah, so Masters of the Universe was a shit fest of a movie because, Doug, as you and I have talked about, and just between you and I in the past, the premise, the setting is flawed because He-Man exists on Eternia. And don't bring him to Earth, and just and I get why they did that for budget constraints. Obviously,
right? Yeah,
that was the idea. From a perspective of sets and whatever, this was going to be easier. But
was he still from Eternia, or was he like from Detroit?
No. Yeah, he was from Eternia. So what happened is there was some device, some kind of key or device that opened up a portal that sent them through to Earth. And they didn't know. They didn't
familiar
know
with
about
these
Earth.
sparkly portals.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a fish out of water type of story, and so they're battling on Earth,
like Encino Man, the classic story.
just like Encino Man. Yeah.
The reason why they were going to link the two planets, Eternia and Earth, is because it was apparently revealed that He-Man's mother, Queen Marlena, is actually from Earth. She was an astronaut from Earth. Her last name was Glenn, so any relation to John Glenn, probably. Or it's implied at least. And so he is almost like a half-breed. He's part Eternian and part Earthling. And so that's why they said, we can go to Earth. Of course, as Dirty A said, it ruins the movie because people want to see Eternia.
Yeah. Eternia is a made-up place. It's supposed to be. Basically,
the live-action movie basically killed He-Man. But I think the cartoon ended before that, just before that. It was still probably in reruns, I think. But
the original iteration.
Right. And that ended before that. I think it was like 83 to 85 or something. That was the original cartoon.
That seems like it would be.
And then
I suspect She-Ra didn't run more than a season or two either.
Right. But the movie basically killed He-Man. There's been a couple different iterations. They did a couple other cartoons. One was more like, we saw a picture of it, where Skeletor, as Jason pointed out, looked like he was like a rotting corpse from The Walking Dead. I mean, he has like eyeballs and shit, and you're like, ew. Like, he's gross. And He-Man looks more like Flash Gordon, because he doesn't have his page boy haircut. Like, they should have had the crossover between Anton Chigurh and He-Man to see who wears the page boy haircut the best.
like in People magazine, who wore it best?
Yes, right.
Or Entertainment Weekly.
Yeah, that I don't. Yeah.
And then there was another cartoon, I think, after that. There was another cartoon after that. I want to say it was on Cartoon Network, maybe. They had it on there.
Was it Cartoon Network?
I want to say it was Cartoon Network.
Maybe. Yeah, that was like around that was very early.
The first one, the Flash Gordon He-Man, was like the early 90s. And I think they did another one later.
In 2000.
Somewhere around 2000. There, I think. Yeah,
which may have been...
Because Mattel has constantly tried to restart the franchise.
Yeah. To no avail.
Right. The comic book license has bounced around all over the place. It was with Marvel, and it was in their kids line called Star Comics, where they had stuff like Spider-Ham and other Heathcliff. I think they did Heathcliff comics, something like that. But more recently, and I think it actually is still going to right now, this series, there's a He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. DC Comics is publishing it. And I was reading up about it a little bit because I haven't read any of the comics, but I was reading up a little bit about it. And it's actually interesting because they actually kind of try and give like backstory to some of the characters. Like Merman is like a guy who helps Skeletor out, but like he kind of like runs the sea and stuff like that. And like Trapjaw had like his own little crew, and but they were all like kind of like all the villains are kind of like helping each other out a little bit, like they were hired by Skeletor,
but they have their own demeanor.
But they have their own stuff going on. They weren't like just like there for him to like berate and
man, that is getting a little too detailed for me for He-Man lore.
Well, that's the thing though now, because now
good and evil, good and bad,
that's
all I need.
There is no gray area
because what they were doing too is they've been trying to get another live action movie going. I think the guy who did the second G.I. Joe movie was rumored he was going to take it over, but then it kind of fell apart. And we kind of talked about this a little bit when we did our Cartoon Spectacular episode. And they really could go anywhere with a He-Man movie because there is no real mythology to it. I mean, they have the cartoon, but the cartoon was basically just like random He-Man adventures that they weren't connected really in any way.
Yeah. And
there was no continuity to the cartoon.
And there wasn't a heck of a lot of backstory in the cartoon.
Right.
No.
But there is backstory now, as you said, in the comics. So
right.
there's something they could create a quality movie out of.
Right.
Wherever they go, just don't go back to that Masters of the Universe.
I don't think they will. That movie was a failure. But they could really do anything with it. And it's an interesting concept because it's a world that, with the technology and the magic all mixing together, they could really do something really cool with it. But, it's something that, like, quote-unquote fanboys of He-Man, you really can't get up in arms about it because it's like there's nothing really there to begin with.
Can you get mad in arms about it?
You can get mad in arms about it.
You can't get up in arms.
No.
You can't get mad in arms about it. I mean, but that's really all you need. You just need the sword, the castle, a couple people know who he is, and that's basically it. And that's it.
He knows a couple people.
And a gay bar. And a gay bar.
And a gay bar, and a Chippendale show.
Not really. Not so much a bar as a like a club where everyone's on ecstasy.
A gay castle.
Yes. Yeah.
And Skeletor. And that's really all you need.
Skeletor.
That's your movie. One thing
That's your 10 movie franchise.
That's your 10 movie franchise. Yeah. Take that, Avengers. The one thing I never understood was Orko. Orko in the cartoon is like this little floating wizard guy. And then when they came out the figure, he's just as tall as everybody else.
Yeah, he is. He's just a scotch smaller than every other character.
Yeah.
And it's because he's got that motor in him.
Right.
Not motor, but
it's like a ripcord.
It's like a ripcord thing, but he's got some kind of mechanics that they had to make it big enough. Because when you pull the ripcord, he shoots across the floor. But yeah, he is. He's almost just as big as every other character.
And I know there was an episode or two where they went to his world, the world of his people. There was at least one other of his kind, a female
Orko
version.
had a world?
There was a world.
It said it on Wikipedia. It's like called Tralala.
Something like that. Yeah. Mind blown.
Why don't they make that movie?
Can we
the
start
Orko
over?
movie? Why not? If Sony gets their hands on it, why not?
Right.
We'll make an Orko movie. We'll make a Trapjaw movie.
Absolutely.
We'll make a Beast Man movie.
We'll have a DC version and a Marvel version. Why
We'll
not?
make a Mechaneck movie.
Let me guess. His head moved on a swivel.
That is correct.
All
That
right.
is correct. Because remember, you have who was the good version?
Giraffe Man?
No, God,
No, Mechaneck was the good version.
Mechaneck's the good guy.
I thought
What
so.
happened with his neck?
Okay.
Did it just...
Then what's
I
the
think
bad
you turn-
guy? What
I
was the
think you
bad
turn-
guy?
I
There was
think-
a bad guy that did that.
You could turn,
I think
right?
you turned his body, and then when you turned his body, his neck like extended out of his body.
I was going to say, it wasn't just like his head could turn, because
Wasn't there
people's heads
evil,
turn.
wasn't
That's
there
not
an
a
evil
special
version?
power.
Wasn't there an evil version? It would take too long to look up.
I think Mechaneck was the.
If he was the good guy, wasn't there like an opposite version of him though?
I think
That's
so.
the thing. I still don't know if there was like an opposite to Ram Man, who really was probably the proprietor of the gay castle, by the way. Ram Man.
Oh,
Probably.
totally. He was the bear, if you will.
Oh, I will. If I ever go to Eternia. If I ever
Yeah,
go to Eternia.
Oh yeah.
Well, see, I don't know. I mean, Ram Man. I think he was probably popular with the ladies.
Sure, you think.
He swings both
Because
ways.
he extends.
Oh,
He's
swings
short
both
and then
ways.
he's not short.
He's
like
Ram Man.
Ram
And then-
Man.
I remember this, looking at some of these characters. I remember two of the ones that I like to play with the most, which is really fucking odd to me because They're these two cosmos twins that come in, and they actually just turn into rocks. Like they hide
I didn't
each
remember
other.
that at all.
Yeah. One of them's called Rockon, and then another one's called like I can't remember.
Rock Hard?
And then another one's called like Cosmic Rock. I'll have to look him up, see if I can find him.
They must have been later.
They were very late.
Oh, I remember them.
And then you crush him up, and he's just a giant rock.
It's because they were trying to get in on the.
Would the two
Transformers
rocks
thing,
go together
probably.
into one larger?
No, they were
All
two
right.
completely separate rocks.
That's-
Yeah. They were rock hard though.
I remember
Of
Roboto.
course.
I saw in there Roboto. I remember him.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you very much, Mr. Roboto.
Yeah, I know. And he had like a clear body, so
Yeah,
you could
'cause
see
you could
Oh,
see
yeah.
you
all
could
the
see
gears,
mechanics
all the
mechanics
gears
working,
yeah.
inside of him.
Like if
Yeah.
you swung his arm, his chest would turn inside or something.
Yeah.
That's right.
I've got some filler. I always wondered why, when Skeletor was sort of defeated, never completely defeated, but sort of defeated for the day, because Beastman got pushed off a cliff. So, regroup, everyone. But he would be doing his little soliloquy about, oh, you won today, but I'll come back next Tuesday and get you, and then dive into a portal. During that 30 seconds, nobody took any action to maybe grab him.
No,
He's right there?
No, you just let him go.
And He-Man's, let him go. We'll get him next Tuesday.
He-Man knows that you need evil to complement the good.
It reminds
He
me.
knows where his bread is buttered.
Yeah.
I was going to say butt is breaded. That's not a thing.
Well,
It could be.
It could be now.
at Randman's Castle.
Patent pending.
at Castle Gayskull.
Buttered bread.
Castle Gayskull,
That's
maybe.
It was
Right.
Rockon and Stondar.
Oh my goodness.
Stondar.
That reminds me, the thing you're talking about, like he gets away, that reminds me of The Simpsons when they did their spin-off showcase, and they had Wiggum P.I., and he goes, he's slowly getting away, Chief. He goes, don't worry, I think we're going to run into him each and every week.
Hey there, Chief. Hey, Chief. Getting away there.
But yeah, Mechaneck, he was the good guy. Man-at-Arms is the one who gave him his extending prosthetic neck.
That's nice of him.
Although in the 2002 series, this is never discussed.
Oh, remember Stratos? He's like one of the originals.
Yeah, Stratos is one of the originals. He was like a Birdman.
Wow.
Or something.
Yeah.
That's also why I
He's
kind
like
of.
Coco Beware.
Yeah.
That's also why I
They
kind
need
of.
to give that man a parrot.
I kind of liken it like to the Flash Gordon movie with like the Birdman and stuff like that. You know, there's
Yeah.
it's very similar to that, more so than Conan, I would say.
You know his face, Stratos' face. I'm pretty sure they took it from like the flying monkeys from the Wizard of Oz.
Is that what it looks like?
Yeah, it looks just like that.
He also is
And
similar.
his body He-Man?
Yes, of course.
He-Man.
Gray
Of course.
He-Man.
No,
Gray
Prince
He-Man.
Adam. My mistake.
Gray He-Man
He's
with
got
yeah,
the,
great-
the
great He-Man.
little monkey face.
Yeah.
The other thing about Skeletor, he face of a skull, skeleton face, body more buff than He-Man. Really fit for a dead guy, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the other thing
A
with
lot of
Skeletor.
protein
It's like
on those bones.
he's not wearing like a unitard or something like that. That guy's blue.
His body, that's not a paint job. His body's blue, and he's got the purple cloak.
Ain't no joke there. He just blew.
He did blue. Little boy blue.
But does anybody have any other special He-Man memories?
I wanted to ask Dirty if you had Zor. Was there a Zor figurine?
Zor.
Yeah,
Which
that would be
one
the
was it?
sorceress turned into Zor when she would fly around and
Oh, I did have that.
Telepathically,
The
you know.
bird.
yeah, the bird.
The bird.
Zor.
Absolutely had that. And he had the claws, had like the talons.
Yes.
That could hold on.
Right.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. They actually had an evil version of that too that was purple. I don't remember what that name. Again, names kind of escaped me.
Skelezor.
There's Zor right there.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
I had absolutely.
And Zor would talk to He-Man telepathically as the
Yep.
sorceress.
Yeah, and there was Evil Lyn had a version, but I can't remember the name.
Was it a buzzard?
Yeah.
The
A flying boob.
Here it is.
I
found it.
wish.
Oh, yeah.
Screech.
Somebody come out with that.
Screech was Evil Lyn's version.
yes, yes, that's right.
Played by Dustin Diamond.
Yes.
My goodness.
Yes.
Guys, the sorceress. I'm looking at this. The sorceress. Her real name apparently is Tila Na.
Really?
Giving that kind of gives away the store on that secret.
Sure.
Here we go.
Screech, yeah.
Yeah.
Screech.
Because yes, the sorceress was really the mother of Tila, whose
Oh.
adopted father was Man-at-Arms,
Mm-hmm. That's right.
and Tila also known as probably the most covered up figure in the He-Man line, the girl is the most covered up.
It's
ridiculous.
Ridiculous. And what she's wearing is basically a one-piece bathing suit.
Basically, yeah.
And some sort of crazy collar that
it was like a snake. It was like a snake collar too.
It was huge.
You would almost think that she was like a bad guy.
It was like half of a when your dog has face surgery or something. You got to get half a comb.
She never wore it in the cartoon though. She always had like her hair like up in like a bun or something like that. You know. Tila was hot.
Yeah. Tila was hot. I was just going to say that means that maybe the sorceress and Duncan got it on in the past.
No, he's her adopted father.
Yeah, but he tried to make that official. Come on.
And the Woody Allen kind of thing going on there.
Sunyi. No, that's gross. That means he's banging Tila. That's gross.
Wow.
You just ruined He-Man.
Ruined He-Man. Right, I'm the one who ruined He-Man. Yeah, it was me.
You just ruined He-Man.
He-Man was pristine until just then. Flawless.
I like to have fights between Panther and Battle Cat myself. That's the way I did it.
Panther.
Yep.
60% of the time, he won every time.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, Cringer was a scared piece of shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that some kind of like animal abuse or something like that?
He was like,
he transforms him?
This is I'm not going to like this.
Also, it's not like Cringer was a small cat either that turned into like a giant cat. He put armor on him.
And made him fight.
I remember when they would show the way Wolverine in the X-Men movies, the way Wolverine was where surgically put the claws into it, and he just hated it. And I thought maybe this is what Cringer felt like every single time.
Maybe
every time.
That is animal abuse.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Where was the ASPCA then?
Exactly.
I remember. There was some little play kit that came out. It wasn't necessarily in the early version, but it was a slime thing.
I remember that.
Like a contraption, you put the thing over there and it came with slime.
Yeah.
And you could like turn it down, the slime would run all over.
And of course you would have to buy extra slime.
Yeah.
Like the slime was sold
like
separately.
But it was yes you could and would, but I mean you could pull it off them. Like it wasn't
It was like
okay.
It was like Nickelodeon slime. It was
you just
goo.
Pull
it wasn't
right
especially sticky. It was a little sticky.
Yeah.
And probably fully toxic.
And did and
Buzz off.
Yes.
No, I mean the character.
Yeah,
was that slime? Was that part of Castle Grayskull or Snake Mountain or anything?
No,
it
was Skeletor.
It was a separate. Right. It was a.
Or was it Horde? Was it Hordak? Wasn't it supposed to like?
Oh,
maybe it was.
The idea was it was a contraption.
It made them bad, right, or something like that.
You could control them.
Right. That's right.
It was sold separately.
Yeah. It was sold
separately.
As everything was in the He-Man universe.
In the He-Man universe, all those toys, action figures sold separately.
Yes, sold separately.
You can get the Sky Striker for G.I. Joe.
Next Christmas.
All pilots sold separately. You can get the USS Flag. It comes with one fucking character, and it's 7 feet long. Thanks. Yeah. It comes with one figure. The Admiral that you'll never meet on the cartoon.
Interestingly, my buddy who had all these toys had his landing aircraft carrier in the toy room in the basement.
Oh man!
Right next to He-Man's Galaxy.
I had the
right down the road where the Dukes of Hazzard. He had Mad Balls on the ceiling. Nice. Anyway, that's
Mad Balls. Oh my god!
There's a whole episode about that room. Toys.
Jesus.
Laser tag, the original plastic thing in the 80s.
I forgot about this. I had this too. The Horde had their own place called Fright Zone.
Right. Yeah. And then they had the.
Was that the castle or the?
It's not a castle because it's like in the woods.
Yeah, they had that thing. They had this.
Like, the toy, the Fright Zone.
They had like the monster that was like a puppet. And you put it on your hand.
Yeah, this little thing right here. It's just like a snake monster, and you can put your hand through. And
I had that. I had the Fright Zone. Yeah.
Someone owns these things, and they're worth hundreds of thousands.
Yes,
of dollars.
that's correct.
I wouldn't say they're worth that much, but
I bet you
in the box
as a whole they could be.
I mean, if they're mint condition,
mint condition.
But I mean, but what kid didn't play with their toys? I mean, you know.
I know that's the thing. That's unless you were
Steve Carell. That's the six.
Do you know how hard it is as a child to not open up your toys?
That's not the $6 million man. That's his boss. You have his boss. You're a nerd.
Steve, what was his name?
Steve Austin.
Steve Austin.
Yeah.
No,
that's $1 million man.
That's the $1 million man.
Yeah.
Oh, what was the
boss's name? I forget. Maxwell or something like that.
No, yeah, you look through his eye.
Yeah. So funny. Anything else? Any other He-Man memories? as Dirty A is getting lost in this site looking at the toys.
I'm sorry.
I know I used to. My sister was in Winter Guard. She's about 5 or 6 years older than me. So in high school, she was in Winter Guard, Color Guard, whatever. They use rifles and sabers. Of course, I grabbed the saber, and now I'm He-Man. And this was like a 4-foot-long actual sword. Kind of dull, but pretty dangerous when I'm like 6 years old trying to be He-Man around the house.
Yeah. I don't remember if I was a kid, but they did make a He-Man sword that would have played the music.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I've spent this episode just going through my own personal nostalgia. And then look at all these characters online and be like, ooh!
Which hopefully we've inspired everyone listening to do this as well.
Yeah, I like how this episode needs so many visual cues. No one listening.
Hey, look at this.
Hey, did you see this? And then you're like, yeah, that's cool. As we shoot into talking into something else, and the audience is going, what the fuck are they talking about? I want to know what they see.
It will inspire them to go look it up online.
Instead of listening to this, just go to eBay and type in He-Man.
Don't say that.
Give it about an hour.
Don't say that. God damn, man.
I said it at the end.
You could spend 35 minutes less time than you listen to this and get 10 times the information by just Googling it.
Oh, it just wouldn't be as fun.
This will be the last episode of the Hodgepodge podcast, apparently.
Oh, this is a good one.
I guess I'm not invited back.
This is a good one. Snout Spout.
I remember him. He was like an elephant.
Elephant dude, yeah. Snout Spout. What?
Where were all these mutant creatures?
Are all of these that you pulled up, were they all in the cartoon, or were some of them just straight to shelf?
Straight to
as it were. Straight to video.
Again, as pointed out.
As it got later in the toy line.
merchandise came first.
Right.
And they didn't always fit them into the cartoon. But,
yeah.
Because there was no animation readily available for these characters. If it didn't have He-Man's body with a different head, they're not going in the TV
I like
show.
this one, Squeeze, but it's Squeeze with 4 S's. And it's a snake with gigantic long arms.
I don't remember him at all.
Wow.
I don't remember
long
him
arms.
at all.
They should call that pre-stretched Armstrong.
This was 1987. This was...
Oh, that's like the end of the line.
Of the iteration, yeah.
Is that actually not He-Man's body? That's amazing.
That is. You're right. This is
a different body.
Cut a complete... It's a new jib.
Orange
tights. I like
tights.
the cut of this guy's jib.
Cut of this guy's jib,
Yeah. So I like that they actually named him Squeeze with 3 S's.
God.
That's good
visual
time.
name.
Good times right here.
Now we're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
I like that name, Cut of the Jib. That could be Ram Man's nightclub. Cut of the Jib.
Cut of the Jib.
There you go.
Come on in.
Or some other Eternia-like music.
You get your glow sticks at the door.
Check your swords at the door. And check out the swords inside.
You trade in your sword for a glow stick at the door.
Yeah.
Oh, He-Man.
Oh, He-Man.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I got.
As he rattles off like 50 different names of characters. Remember Mechanic?
This episode...
Brought to you by Mattel.
This episode essentially turned into the Matt Foley show. Hey, remember the time when you that was awesome.
Paul is dead. That was a hoax, right? Oh yeah, it wasn't really dead.
Stupid, stop! I never know what to say.
Oh, you're doing great, Chris. You're doing great.
You really think so? Oh, stop! That's exactly what this episode's turned into, and I love it.
Yeah, that's good.
What
else was going to happen?
There's really nothing else to talk about.
One little quick story, because I do the Skeletor voice, and it comes up in ComedyWorx a lot. These two are in the crowd.
Yes, that's what we... The whole reason why we have Jason on this episode is because he does a fantastic Skeletor, but also whenever Dirty A and I go to see him at ComedyWorx, and they always say, we need a place, one of us always goes,
Eternia!
Yes, Castle Grayskull!
Improv, and they always, audience participation,
they
always ask for a place or something, and we're always like, He-Man or
something
Eternia.
Something He-Man related.
And I will never tire of that, because whenever they ask for a place, a mythical place, it's always either Narnia or Harry Potter's Kingdom, whatever that is.
Right.
I'm not a big Harry Potter guy. And I'll take Eternia every time.
Yep.
Because most of the crowd will not have heard that.
That's absolutely my ongoing gag at ComedyWorx.
Yeah, it's kind of like...
just use He-Man related for anything we throw out.
This is like, on Whose Line Is It Anyway? That's the improv show on TV. They have, like, Ryan Stiles will have go-to stuff every episode, pretty much. That's my go-to there. And I will never get tired of doing it, because it's different from all the other ones they get all the time. And there was a remote show one time, and these guys came to, and suggested Eternia. And good, I'll do Skeletor up here. And we get on the stage. Dan Bain, who's another performer at Comedyworx, goes up first in the scene, calls me in as Cringer.
God! I mean, we were like,
I can almost hear them going, "Oh, come on!"
Doug and I are going, "This is perfect. He's finally going to get to be Skeletor on stage." And the guy's like, "Cringer."
Yes.
I know you're not supposed to say no as part of a sketch comedy.
Yeah,
you got to be the yes and person. But I think you should have said no.
I should have blocked the hell out of
it. No but that time.
Sorry, there's no Cringer here.
You
But
boo.
instead, I played along, and he was trying to give me a potion because I guess that's how he wanted to turn Cringer into Battle Cat. So I'm like, I don't know about
You
this.
boo. That is not how we end Cringer.
Perhaps we should wait for Adam.
Come in, King Randor, you royal
You
boob.
royal boob. Calling King Randor. Come in, you royal boob. Oh, you got to seek out that video. That's a good one.
Skeletor, yeah. Find Skeletor's sick burns.
He never looks in the mirror. Maybe I have trained these people incorrectly. He just keeps calling them names and trying to use them next week.
Yeah.
He's a terrible manager.
He's got bad people skills.
Yeah. He needs to read one of those books.
Snake Mountain needs a new human resources director.
Can you do Skeletor as the boss from Office Space?
Right. Yeah. We're going to need you to come in on Saturday. Yeah. We're going to need you to go ahead and also come in on Sunday.
That's what he needs, the Skeletor suspenders. The bomb.
And please try to get your cover letters correct, you boob.
There was a guy on, I was at some con or something like that, and it's like this real fat guy, and he dressed like Skeletor, and he's like, out of work Skeletor, and he has like a sign that says, out of work Skeletor, and he's like, got this big gut, but he looks exactly like Skeletor. He looks great, but he's like Skeletor, the guy's like, out of work.
I would love to see a skit of Skeletor after taking like a management course, and how he would talk to them now, like, have I trained you properly? Have I given you good instruction? Okay, go get him, guys. He's trying to be a good manager and everything, not calling them names, being supportive.
Oh, that's good stuff. I do love that. Speaking of Comic-Con, this just came up because you had nothing to do with He-Man, but I just thought it was funny. One of the funniest things I'd ever seen at that time. I just thought it was hilarious. When you're talking about people that just stand there, at North Carolina Comic-Con this year, I was walking down and you have all these people in costume and cosplay, and then I just see this guy standing on the sign with this sign that says "Free Shrugs." He just walked by me like, anyway.
That'll do it.
He-Man, by the way.
That'll do it for this episode of the Hodgepodge Podcast. We'd like to thank Jason Christ for coming by to
Thank you, fellas, again.
talk some He-Man with us. You can catch Jason down at Comedyworx in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Friday and Saturday shows, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Lots of fun.
Head on down, check it out. It's a lot of fun. And if you're there and Jason is in the crew, make sure to yell out He-Man,
Throw out an Eternia,
or
Evil
Skeletor,
Man, whatever.
or Eternia. And
then let me tell you, everyone on the stage will love it too, because they're just into all this stuff as much as we are.
Cool. And next episode, we'll be discussing probably a couple movies. We saw Wild with Reese Witherspoon recently.
Oh, brother.
It's getting great reviews, and I'm just like, I did not see this movie you saw.
So we'll talk about that next.
We'll talk about that next week. And we'll also probably be discussing a couple other movies, as including Top 5, Chris Rock's Top 5, and possibly Exodus, Gods and Kings.
Yeah, no.
Which looks
Saying
awful.
it like that probably doesn't make it any better.
It looks awful.
Exodus, Gods and Kings! And boobs.
And we'll see you next time.
Take care.